is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, Ira, how are you doing, my brother?
You know what? I'm doing good, but this season really has been like a box of chocolates. You don't know from day to day what you're going to wind up getting with this Miami Heat team. And the fact that they ended the trip with those 2 wins, I think mitigated some of the first 3 losses. And it just looks like this team will have enough to get where it wants to go. But it also shows it might be a little bit of a bumpy ride.
Well, but I got to tell you something, dude. Last night was actually a good thing.
Yes.
Because we're watching a different Tyler Herro. We're not watching just a guy that's a 6 man. We're watching a guy that is also developing into a leader, actually. A guy you can count on. A guy that now spoke and look at and say he has the mindset of a starter and the mindset of coming off the bench. And either way, he is prepared to help the team in any kind of mindset that I need right now. The maturity that I have seen from Tyler Herro from this year compared to what I've watched all last year, and even in his run with the bubble, that it was, even while he's having his success here, he's not even displaying the same kind of swag he was trying to, display in the bubble and all that stuff. There's a level of maturity to his game that I am incredibly impressed with. Your thoughts?
Damn, you're a lot smarter than you look, because literally while you were finishing your last segment, I was transcribing some Tyler Herro tape about what he's done, adding the weight, being a stronger player, working against the double teams. This is such a fascinating story in this season, from what we thought Tyler was, where we thought he was going, to how valuable he is. I would make this case right now. Of all the Heat players' claims for an all-star berth this year, Tyler Herro's number 1 on this roster. Ahead of Jimmy, ahead of Kyle, ahead of Bam. But here's part 2, and I'm going to put you on a spot. We're going to talk more with Clay tomorrow.
Even though Bam is an automatic, but go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, but we're going to talk more with Clay tomorrow on the Pallet Rock City Inside the Paint. Sure. But in today's Acura Pembroke Pines report, I want to put you on the spot a little bit, because something interesting is going to happen. The Heat play the Pelicans tomorrow. They finally get home at FTX Arena, and then back-to-back games against the Wizards on Thursday here, on Sunday in Washington at Capital One Arena. You remember all the trade talk, the Heat has to make a move. Who are they going to move? They're going to have to trade Tyler Herro. Big O, would you be as quick right now to trade a Tyler Herro on a rookie scale contract for Bradley Beal?
Wow, that's a great question.
Sure, that's why I want to put you on the spot.
No, hell no.
Okay. It's interesting.
Because I'm now getting the moxie as a finisher from him. I just told you he's developing into the attitude that he can start or come off the bench. Either way, I'm cutting your heart out. And if I look at the numbers that Tyler's producing compared to Bradley Beal, well, Bradley's probably offensive numbers are going to be slightly higher because his volume is higher than Tyler. So I'm really not getting that much more production for the amount that I'm giving back, and I'm giving them a younger player with less mileage on him. No, there's no way I would make that trade.
And then Big O, or as I like to call you, Orlando Alzugaray, and give you part B. Tomorrow, the Pelicans come into FTX Arena. They are screwed. They are a mess. They don't know what they're going to be. David Griffin's on the way out. Zion Williamson clearly doesn't want to be there. Clearly has weight issues. Clearly seemingly needs the Miami Heat reformatory. Question number 2 for Orlando Alzugaray on the spot here on a Tuesday morning. Would you trade Tyler Herro for Zion Williamson?
No. I was a John Morant guy, dude.
Okay.
When he came out in the draft, I said I'm drafting John Morant, not
Zion Williamson in today's perimeter NBA.
By the way, I then followed it up in my fantasy draft. Your keepers are only rookies. You can only take them in their, I had the opportunity to get Zion. I took John Morant, dude. I saw John Morant as the better long-term player, and I think you and I have had this conversation. I was worried that Zion's body, he was too explosive to stay healthy for his body. I was really worried about that with him.
And we're seeing that play out. So the point I'm trying to make here about Tyler Herro, and I think this is interesting for all Heat fans, those people who email me at askira@sunsentinel.com. There were always thoughts about a trade that you want to trade a player when his value is the highest. Never before has Tyler Herro's value been this high. I think you'd agree. You might say, well, in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics, but that was beyond a trading deadline. That wasn't a trading period. There was nothing you were going to do in that moment except wait for the offseason. So I think it's really interesting the way it's set up. And I'm working on a story for the Sun Sentinel on this. We have to stop talking about a Heat big three. We came into the season, it might look good on a media guide and all that. You have Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler, and God bless them. It's a big four. And here's why that matters, Big O.
I was about to tell you that.
Right. And here's why it matters. Because you can go without two of them if the other two are on the top of their game. Look, Eric Spoelstra made a calculated decision. I know he's going to say, no, Bam couldn't play, no, Jimmy couldn't play. He also said,
I thought Bam was going to play,
right.
And when I saw that he wasn't, I go, well, it's OKC.
Yes. So he looked at the competition. He was not going to denigrate what they're doing in Oklahoma City, youngest team in the NBA. They're an evolving team. They sat out Derek Favors. They're sort of finding their way also, and I get that. So my contention is against anything but elite. If two of the big four are playing well, the Heat can find a way. Well, yesterday you had Tyler Herro lead them in scoring, which is sort of becoming the regular now. And you had Kyle Lowry get his third Miami Heat double-double, 11 assists, tied his Heat career high, obviously a short sample size, and was at the top of his game. That's the difference this year, is you have this sort of poo-poo platter of you can just pick two players, and if they go off, that's going to be enough in most games. Other games, quality opponents, yes, you're going to need three. You might need all four. But there's a depth of leadership. There's a depth of stardom. It's going to be really interesting. We saw this in the voting for Defensive Player of the Year last year. The Heat split the baby. Some people voted for Jimmy Butler for his perimeter defense. Some voted for Bam for his interior defense. Neither got the award. Rudy Gobert did. I think the All-Star voting is going to be very interesting also from the players, from the media, and from the fans, because when you look at your Heat All-Star ballot, you got to be reasonable. This is not that Atlanta team of 5 or 6 years ago that dominated the division and the whole roster went. He probably will wind up with 1 or 2 All-Stars. I can't tell you who that is now. The voting hasn't started. The All-Star game is not till late February. But it's really interesting that I think if you and I had a segment here on our twice-a-week Acura Pembroke Pines report, and we said, who is the best Miami Heat player, I think there'd be a real barometer. I think sometimes we'd say Tyler. Sometimes Jimmy got off to a great start of the season. He was player of the week for the second week of the season. You can see Kyle Lowry's impact, and you can see at times Bam when he takes charge like he did in the games against Los Angeles and the Clippers and the Lakers. So it's a nice problem to have. But right now, if you're asking me, in fact, I'll make this easier for you, so it's something you can relate to. Right now, if I was going to consider the Heat in terms of crypto, I am buying Herro coin because I think Herro coin has appreciated about 40% since the start of the season. That's what's interesting about this Heat team. I think every time you and I talk twice a week here on the Acura of Pembroke Pines report, we're going to be talking about who the best Heat player is at the moment, and it will not be the same player.
Yeah, no, he's definitely rising, and I guess I'll put Bam as Bitcoin because he's just rock solid, and then I can put Jimmy as Ethereum, okay, because he just provides it all. It's the blockchain, everything. So I'll spread them out like that, and then I can use Lowry as Cardano, ADA. There we go. So I can kind of attribute them all to coins now. It helps when 2 are out and 2 are in when you're getting the proper support from everybody else. And last night, baby, watching Duncan stroke it, the Struce was loose. And, we'll get to KZ also in a minute, but it was just like, it was nice to see also, Dedmon came in, and I know the Yurtsevin was in there and all that, but it was... I know. But it's good. But it's good playing time for him. It's good experience. That's the one thing that I want for Yurtsevin is just to get a little playing time every once in a while to get acclimated and kind of grow into the position because he needs to grow into all of this. But having Duncan and the Struce shooting the way they shot last night, that was enormous.
It was a three-pointer game. Both teams, the majority of shots in the first half were three-pointers. The Heat put up 40. It's sort of who they are and what they had to be in that moment, and they came through. And yes, the supporting talent is, again, most of the Heat's prime bench started, Dwayne Dedmon and Tyler Herro last night, because of injuries. That was the first time Dwayne has played more than 20 minutes in Heat uniform. They love his bursts. He was asked for more. He came up with the block shots. He was rock solid and he was steady. You needed that. Strus being back is important for this reason.
Yes.
If Duncan isn't hitting shots, you go to plan B. When they're both hitting shots, you always have a floor spacer out there, and that worked out for the Heat also. I like the effort of KZ, but let's face it, Big O. Unless 2 or 3 stars are out, he's not playing. He's your 12th man anyway.
I know, but it was nice. It was nice to see him at least
because you know why?
do something,
He was playing against a team of young athletes also. So he fit into that mix. It was a bunch of athletic guys who were just running around, maybe you could say with their head cut off, but that's kind of the player that KZ is now. Yurtseven was disappointing. He played 3 minutes, 33 seconds in that one stint in the first quarter. He was minus 11. He looked a little bit lost. And again, you and I talk about it in our twice weekly reports here. I talk about it with Clay also. Fans might clamor for a certain player, and we try to tell them he's just not ready. Yes,
right.
Against an Oklahoma City Thunder in that spot, you can spot him. You can give him some minutes. But he's your third string center. And when they go small, it's not going to work. He's not able to go out there and guard a Mike Muscala or someone like that because he doesn't have the foot speed. His time will come. This isn't Summer League. He'll get spotted here or there, and it'll work out down the road, probably next season. But you could see last night how much the supporting cast, even to Gabe Vincent defensively, still can't make a shot. I don't know why, but he was working his butt off there defensively. The bench came through for them. Again, we have to have perspective, people. It was the Oklahoma City Thunder and a game you should win. They were playing on a back-to-back. Now it gets interesting. Pelicans are down, but then you have 2 in a showdown for first place against the Wizards coming up later this week. So I think that'll be a little bit more of a measuring stick.
Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun to watch. And dare I say this, that I'm glad that Strus is back because you actually even get a little more defense from Strus than you do Duncan. I mean,
he plays bigger. He plays thicker. He plays more as a forward kind of player. He's not as foul prone. Duncan,
he has a little nastier streak in him. Like he wants to play defense. Whereas Duncan's kind of passive in all of that. This kid, actually, what I like about Strus is he's hungry to play. It doesn't mean that he's a good defender, but the effort to try to play defense will be there with him.
This is how I phrase it.
And by the way, it's not like Duncan is lazy. Duncan tries.
Absolutely.
Okay,
this is how I phrase the two. Max Strus plays as a defender who wants to get in your way. Right. Duncan Robinson plays as a defender who wants to get out of the way and not get another foul. That's the subtle difference between the two.
Yeah. It is funny watching him sometimes when he isn't like.
I didn't foul. How many times does he put both hands up? Wasn't on me. Couldn't have been on me. I mean, you talk about a guy who must be hearing whistles in his sleep.
Well, he's this so far this part of the season. He's done it a few games where he's picked up early fouls. You know what I mean?
And he kills the Heat because especially when they're shorthanded, you don't have that. When Strus was out, when he was overcome the knee injury and was out for almost 2 full weeks after getting hurt in Memphis, the timing was bad there. But you know what? You see when Duncan hits shots, how everything changes. You saw it in the Jazz game. You saw it in the Thunder game. Tyler Herro says the double teams come less to him. They'll come less to Bam when he's back in there also. So that's important. Now I'm curious about a little bit about Wednesday is how do the Heat approach it? Do they say, well, it's just the Pelicans. They're struggling. Even though Ingram is back, can we rest guys a little bit more? So again, folks, it's not always as much about the injury. Sometimes it's about the opponent as well.
Yeah. And they are they're a terrible team. They're by the way, they're really good to bet against. Because they don't.
No, I remember seeing that about the line, and like they don't come
cover
close.
The number much. Yeah.
And they're lost. They're a team built around a player who's not playing, and a player who you're not sure really wants to play for them either. So it's sort of a tough mix. And you look at some of those who've gotten away. I mean, look at Lonzo Ball and what he's doing right now with the Chicago Bulls and some of the front office moves they've made. I think that'll be one of the early season GM changes that we see with David Griffin moving on and hopefully trying to find themselves. They've gone through an absolutely revolving door of coaches from Alvin Gentry to Stan Van Gundy to Willie Green. Hasn't really changed.
And the shame about New Orleans is that this is catastrophic for them, Ira, because they really needed to hit on a star and keep the star and build
Yes.
something there, because after the whole AD mess, and now you've got the Zion mess, and David now is going to be out. It's just they cannot find
It goes
any
back
kind
to
of
Chris
solid
Paul.
footing.
Even to Chris
Yeah, all the
Paul,
way
they
to,
can't
yes.
keep a player. What you need to do is you need to get a star GM, a star coach in there, so a player says, this is a place I want to be, because the marketing opportunities aren't there. That hasn't happened for them. They haven't found it. They thought Stan Van Gundy, a bigger name, maybe that would work. They have to find someone. They have to find the next it guy. And the question, Big O, is this. Does the next it guy want to work in New Orleans? Or is he going to wait for a job opening in a better location, whether it's in LA, whether it's in New York, whether it's Chicago, or something like that? So that's a problem. Look, there are some places this league should not have teams. And I'm surprised they do for whatever circumstance. I mean, the NBA is a team in Oklahoma City. I mean, Major League Soccer doesn't have a team in Oklahoma City.
But at least they get the support in Oklahoma City, at least.
They do.
So
And they've had a great front office. Now, they lose players, but Sam Presti has found a way to churn through the Hardens and the Durants, and now, Gilgeous-Alexander and what he can give them, and they keep moving in with players. So that's smart front officing, which you have to have as an essential in a smaller, lower revenue market.
How we have a team in New Orleans and not Vegas is beyond me, dude.
Oklahoma
you know what I'm saying?
City and not Seattle, having moved on from there.
Yeah, Seattle
Every time I go to California, what the hell am I doing in Sacramento? It's just the NBA sort of followed the model of, if we have a sole market like Salt Lake City, we can really build a strong fan base. And maybe there's something to it also. But there's a lot of larger metropolitan areas, even Kansas City. Some people talk about Louisville. It never worked in Pittsburgh or St. Louis for whatever reason. But there are some places I go when you try to book travel and you're going, okay, 2 flights in a day. It's like you're trying to get to Hooterville.
Yeah. Oh, God. Damn. And by the way, didn't the Fish save Pittsburgh?
The Fish did save Pittsburgh. Julius Erving's greatest star moment there. Probably the greatest basketball film until Semi-Pro came along, or Will Ferrell's movie, but that's another story for another day.
Blue chips, baby. Blue chips.
I'm talking ABA style.
I know where you're going. All right, so Bam and Butler, another day of vacation tomorrow.
As needed. Eric Spoelstra will say, this is who the Pelicans have. This is who we have. This is their injury status. Okay, what can we do to find a compromise between winning a game we need to win, getting back home, and keeping our players healthy enough for bigger games coming up down the schedule? It's a mixed schedule. The Heat then have the Wizards for 2 in a row after that.
But let me bring something up. Brandon Ingram can be a pain in the ass.
Yes, single-handedly he can.
And if you don't have Butler and you don't have Bam, defending that guy will be that much more difficult. I would like to have one of those guys available. I'm just saying, for Brandon Ingram.
Except PJ Tucker will guard anyone. And he guarded Gilgeous-Alexander last night. And you might say, wait a minute, that stocky 6'5" guy. Yeah, again, right. I always tell people this. If you can go to the games, if you can watch a wider angle, you need to see the little stuff. You need to see PJ Tucker working his butt off, doing stuff that fill no single specific statistical column, but get the job done. So, it's weird. You might say, wait, he's a wing. You can't put your power forward on him. Yeah, you can, because Spoelstra did last night, and it worked. Yeah.
No, you're right. Riley even said it like 2 months ago. I love the guy. He can guard anybody. And
yes, and he can.
He literally can guard anybody, because defense is all about effort. You know what I mean? And that's, of course you need some athleticism and all that kind of stuff. But if you don't have that fire and desire to play defense, you'll never become a great defender. It's just one of those things that has to be natural in somebody.
Spot on.
All right, Ira, what are you working on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
Well, Dwayne Wade has a new photographic memoir out, and I didn't want to write the same story about here are the pictures and what they did. So I spoke specifically to Dwayne. A very interesting section in that book was his visit to Parkland 3 weeks after the incident at Stoneman Douglas, how much that meant to him, going back there for that class's graduation, maintaining a presence in South Florida. And just how, even though he's gone right now, how much he meant to this community and how Dwayne said he will never forget this community. So you're going to see a lot of reviews of the book. Today was the release day. I try to keep it more local, what Dwayne meant to this community. Story posted there. Later in the day, I'm going to have a notebook about Tyler Herro and the added weight he's put on, that you could throw your double teams at him and he'll bust through it, that he's a different player physically as well as mentally this season. So a lot going on with the Heat. So you'll have those two at sunsentinel.com. Already posted my Ask Ira at sunsentinel.com about Omar Yurtsev, and nice guy, but just not ready maybe for his cameo at the moment right now. So plenty to read. Go ahead and subscribe. Wouldn't mind a few more readers.
By the way, at the end of that Wade interview, did you say Jazz suck? I'm just saying.
You know what? I didn't, but I'll let you in on something. I still have the sense that eventually the part owner of the Jazz instead will become a part owner of the Heat. And I could see at some point down the road, Dwayne and UD getting a small part of this team, getting their statues in front of the arena and going there. So right now, Dwayne is sort of, I think, doing his owner apprenticeship, but I would not be surprised eventually to see Dwayne Wade back with the Miami Heat tie-in.
There you go. Always the nuggets are dropping. Ira Winderman, baby. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat. And more importantly, folks, I tell you all the time, please subscribe to the South Florida Sun Sentinel and support Ira and all the terrific journalists that are in that newspaper. Ira, thank you, my friend. We'll catch up on Friday.
And catch you an hour tomorrow also at 9 a.m. Thank you, Big O.
You got it. 9 a.m., 9 to 10, baby. It'll be the Pallet Rock City Inside the Paint Show. That'll be tomorrow morning. But this was the Acura of Pembroke Pines, Miami Heat, and NBA report.
This is the Big O Show.